And this morning, as we begin our Sabbath school, the first part we're going to be having is a special presentation of a mission trip that took place in Moldova in Eastern Europe. How many of you know where Moldova is? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. How many of you know where Italy is? Okay, we have almost every hand up. Okay. If you go to the northeast of Italy, you pass Yugoslavia, Romania, and then right above that, you have a little country which at one time was part of Romania, but after World War II was divvied up to Russia. And it's Moldova. It's I'm not sure if Corneliu will tell more details about it, but it's still about 60 to 75% still Romanian. The other percentage is Russian, and there's intermingled over the years, and now it's Moldova. But the primary language, I think, is still Romanian. Though most people speak both. So anyway, there's a special health center there. My father was invited to take part in the project there, and for me it's and so I'll let them tell more of that story that took place there a few months ago. And so, Corneliu and Zaki, I'll let you come forward.
After I've been in March in Romania, then in Moldova, I invited my wife and myself, and I've been there. I thought I was done, but later on I received a special call to come to Moldova to help with some other project with Corneliu. I just did introduction and I didn't speak the rest of the time. So he was more than I did because I went there and then he extended the ticket to give more. Anyway, it was a nice project and it was necessary for us to be there. And I'm happy. One Sabbath I was here, after I received the call, I saw Corneliu and said, maybe it would be good to come with me join my trip. And I said, I proposed to him and his father said, well, let me think. We may go. So he came, he decided next day. We talked together and I left, but he came a week later after me. So he'll tell more the details. I'm just introducing. Like Apostle Paul invited Timothy, I want to recruit young people, young blood. I mean, many times. So here is Corneliu.
Okay, as Eugene said, Moldova is just above Romania. You see right here, just above the Black Sea. The capital city, Chisinau, has been around for quite a while. You can see the date right there. It has a population of 2 million people at this point. Most of them live in structures like this. Very crowded. There's a little bit more from the capital. The buildings, as you can see, are pretty run down, so the country is not in good shape. These are our Seventh-day Adventist Union headquarters in the Moldova Union. Our project was located about 90 kilometers southwest of the capital. That's about 55 miles. Most of the materials for the project had to be shipped over, transported, and transportation is almost as much as the materials cost. That's the biggest problem with being something that far out. Here's a little bit of the landscape, more out in the village. You can see the cart and the horse. Most of the economy is based around agriculture in the country. This right here is the facility, the Health and Preventive Medicine Center that they're trying to get off the ground now. They do have a medical missionary school that's currently going on out there. Here's a close-up of the ground. Right now, this has been in function for a few years. This is the medical missionary school. These are the sanitarium building and the dorms for the staff and the patients. This one is almost finished. at this point. They were still wrapping up a few things while I was there. This one is in shambles, basically. The whole facility was bought by the conference about 20 years ago. It used to be a facility the communists had for training young youth, like for the youth meetings and stuff, and it was left in shambles for years, so it's in bad shape. While I was there, they had the graduation for the medical missionaries group, so this is the group that graduated this year. This is the dormitory for the patients, which is almost finished. You can see there's still work on these walkways that will go over to the sanitarium. Most of the inside is finished, as you'll see in the following pictures. The end of the building was just being plastered as I was there. And there it is once it's finished. There's what it looks like inside. That's what the dorm room would look like. And the bathroom. It is very small. As you can see, everything's crammed in there. For perspective, here's somebody in the shower, in the shower head. So it's very crammed. Here's a before picture and an after picture. All this renovation happened while I was there. So you can see how bad it is before. Everything's all torn up. These are the main water lines and the heat system for the pressured steam for the heaters come through here. Here's another before picture and after. Okay, our main project for this trip was to design and build the sewage system, the water treatment, so all the sewer lines up to the septic tank right here, and then all the leach lines to dispose of the wastewater. Since the sanitarium was not built yet, we were able to split the system and take all the gray water off to a seasonal creek. So all the water from the showers and the baths, it doesn't have to be treated like the sewer water. So we can run it off. There's a seasonal creek going right here, and we'll just dump it off there. The patient dorm was already built, so we couldn't do that. So that goes down to the septic tank. Here, let's look at a closer picture. From the septic tank, we decided to put 3 different distribution boxes to be able to even the flow out to all the leach lines. So there's one right here, and then one more in the forest back here, and one back here. Altogether, there's about 1,400 feet of leach line, and we figured out that will handle the flow for the facility over there. Here's a little bit of a shot. It's not the best, but right in here is the larger septic field, leach field will be right in here. All this rock was in the way. We had to get the students to help us move it out of the way so we can dig the leach lines. You'll see it later in the video. This is the groundbreaking for the septic tank itself. As you can see, most of the heavy equipment out there is very old. It's old Soviet equipment that breaks down quite often. It's not like here where you can go rent a backhoe and get done in a day. Here's a little more of the digging of the septic tank. The other biggest problem with it is the backhoe that we did find was not able to clean out the bottom of the septic hole very nicely, so we had to get somebody else to help us with that. We thought we'd have to do it all by hand, but we managed to find somebody else. There's more of the digging of the hole. There's Zaki. You can see very well, but maybe we'll go to the next picture. The bottom of the tank is very uneven. See how it came out after the first guy went through. He left a lot of dirt behind, so you can't just go in and pour the base of the tank on that. One other big problem besides finding the right equipment was rain and storms. While I was there, it rained for over a week. That's what made me have to move my ticket. So I had to extend it. I ended up staying for a month instead of 2.5 weeks because of the storms. This is actually in a different village. We went on Sabbath and we actually had hail. So, and usually when you get these storms, the ground gets saturated, and then for a couple of days you can't run heavy equipment because you'll sink in the dirt and the mud. So you have a big delay. This is the one day the tractor broke down 3 times. He got about 40 feet of trench dug that day, which is very little. He managed to fix it though, and the next day he dug more, but still a lot of problems with heavy equipment out there. There's the kind of pipe we used, very similar to the pipe we use here for larger sizes, although they don't have anything like ABS, and everything's compression with an O-ring. You don't have any glue fittings or anything. Everything has to be with the compression. There's the gravel for the leach lines that got delivered while we were trying to find a better equipment operator with better equipment. During the same period, we thought maybe we can get the people, the workers, to shovel and wheelbarrow the rock into the trenches, but that was taking way too long. They did about half a pile in a day, and altogether we did about 6 piles. So each pile was 30 tons. So we did a half a pile one day, and then we decided there's no way, we'll have to find a better heavy equipment operator to put it in the trenches for us. While we were still looking for the heavy equipment operator, I was able to give some suggestions on the project with the sanitarium building that's being renovated right now. That's about what it looks like on the hallway between the dorm and the sanitarium. Here's another picture of most of the building. You can see it's all block construction. They do not have a lot of wood out there. Wood is very expensive. Here's another picture of the front. They do use wood, but very rarely. The whole roof is done out of wood, because that's basically all you can use. As you can see, they added a 3rd floor and they haven't put the stairway in yet, so it's kind of hard getting to the 3rd floor to take pictures. Just had to climb up this thing. There's a few workers plastering the walls in the sanitarium, trying to get it smooth. You can see the blocks. They're about 3 feet wide by about 1.5 feet tall. And all the walls are about that thick. So it's all massive. Most of the cement and mortar is mixed out of bags by hand in small mixers. You can't just order a cement truck, although you can, but it's very expensive. We did end up ordering a cement truck for the tank since we had such volume, but most of the time they just mix it by hand. This you would think is regular CMU blocks. Not really. They're made out of a very brittle material. You can break them with your thumb. They're only made for interior partition walls. You can't build actual structure out of them. They're not structural. We were trying to use them for the septic tank. We were hoping we could, but they're way too weak. They wouldn't hold up anything. We had to specially order some for the tank. There's a little more of the work on the drainage inside the building. They're digging a trench across the hallway so they can put in the sewer lines. Finally, we found somebody that has modern equipment. He managed to get all his equipment from Italy, and he was working about 60 kilometers away from there. The Bobcat was able to come for a couple of days, but he had a contract, so he had to send the Bobcat back. But he also had an excavator, and he came in with this and was able to put all the rock in the trenches for the leach lines. He was able to also dig the hole for the septic tank a lot better. He made a ramp into the tank from one end and went inside and smoothed out the whole bottom of the tank for us, which worked out a lot better than trying to shovel that out by hand. Here's me trying to set up the laser so we can level the base of the tank. And there's more of the taking out the dirt. You can see how much dirt extra was left at the bottom of the tank. Here's what it looked like when it was finished, a lot smoother and nicer. We got some sand down there and the rebar tied. And we did manage to get a cement truck in for this big pour. This was about 22 yards of concrete. It's about 8 inches thick at the bottom. You don't want to be very thin, because if that cracks, then you've got all the untreated sewer water seeping into the actual drinking water, because the drinking water there is about 12 meters down. So it's not too far down there. It's not like around here. Here's more work on the leach lines. The leach pipes themselves you could not buy. They don't have perforated pipe out there. So we had to take the regular pipes and have somebody drill holes in it. Every 6 inches on both sides, you have to have 2 rows of holes. So we had to do that to about 1,400 feet of leach line. It took them a few days to get that done, but we were able to have them do that while we were digging trenches and other things, so that worked out fine. Here's the main area, the bigger area of the leach lines. You can see the trenches right in here. He's putting rock in the trenches. This is the area in the forest behind the greenhouses. A little more directing, telling them what level it needs to be at, and the biggest important thing on the leach lines is getting them to be almost level or just a little bit inclined. You don't want any dips in it and stuff like that. You want the water to dissipate evenly so it can go into the ground. And I did get to do some work too. Okay, basically where we left off when I left, we had the tank base all poured. They started building the walls, and I left them instructions how to finish it with the top and everything. So they're almost done. They're just putting the top over the tank right now. The leach lines were all finished when I left. They did finish the distribution boxes just after I left, so those are done at this point. And I'm going to leave you with a video of most of the construction projects, a summary. So we'll run that right now.
Be
spuneți că eu sunt, el a zis niciodată, voi sunteți lumina lumii.
Иисус не сказал «я есть», Он сказал «вы есть свет мира».
De ce a zis Domnul Iisus că voi sunteți lumina lumii?
Почему Иисус сказал «вы свет мира»?
Whoever has seen me has seen the Father.
Иисус сказал, что кто видел меня, тот видел Отца Моего Небесного.
We have the privilege to share by what we say and do this everlasting truth and good news about our God of the universe.
Слушай, грешник, отвечай же.
Когда к тебе стучится в дверь, слушай, грешник, отвечай же. Когда к тебе стучится в дверь, о, грешник, разве не слышно? Когда к тебе стучится в дверь, когда к тебе стучится в дверь, когда к тебе стучится в дверь, о, грешник, разве не слышно? Когда к тебе стучится в дверь.
Ждем за дверью справедливость.
Когда к тебе стучится в дверь, ждет за дверью справедливость. Когда к тебе стучится в дверь, о, грешник, разве не слышно? Когда к тебе стучится в дверь.
Thank you so much. This was a project that was requested from my father, who spearheaded the project. But I think if Corneliu hadn't been there, the results may have been the same. So I'm grateful the Lord worked out the situation. Corneliu has more construction and all those experiences than my father has more about. So the Lord really worked this project out. And it's going to be a blessing to many people to learn better principles about healthful living. God wants us to be healthy, doesn't He? He wants us to experience fullness of health, even as our soul prospers, it says in 3 John, right? So praise the Lord, the gospel is going forward everywhere, in one way or another, whether schools are built, churches are built, health centers are built, God's work is going forward, just as it is going forward in Paul's day. So we're going to be splitting 4 Sabbath school classes, but before we do that, just go ahead and have a word of prayer. That's a blessing for those people there. The work that continues in Moldova. Father in heaven, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to share the gospel in different ways, whether it's in construction or sharing the word or by example in different places where we work and live. Thank you for the work that's going forward there in Moldova. And I pray a special blessing upon the sanitarium that has been built as the construction continues. And continue to bless us today in the Sabbath hour. In Jesus' name.